Alright, so this is part 2 of the texturing video, which is, I believe, video number 3 in this boxMan lecture. So I haven't done anything since part 1. The cube was just unwrapped using our custom unwrap, the way that we customly unwrapped it. And I'm just going to shift select this object right here, and in doing that we're going to get to see both objects unwrapped on top of each other. And I'm not a texture artist. It's just something that I haven't been very fond of. I mean, the main reason is because I'm not a traditional artist. I see myself as more of a technical artist. I want to go into rigging and animation. So I'm not going to go that deep into texturing, but I am going to show you how to lay out your UVs, export them to Photoshop, and bring them back in. Basically we have overlapping UVs, which is not good because, like I said with the first object, you want to unfold it onto a 2D surface so you can paint on it, and you're not, well, if you had overlapping UVs, you might get like let's say I drew a smiley face on this section right here, then it might show up on here and over here, because if both objects had the same material. That's not desired. We want to kind of put the UV spaced out so that they are in different sections of this gray square, so that you don't have overlapping stuff. Each face has its own section of the texture. By the way, in this UV layout, keep everything in this gray quadrant. If you put anything out, you can put it out to the side when you're working with it, but for your final UV layout, only what's in this gray quadrant will be exported. It basically copies every quadrant. So for example, the center of this quadrant is the center of this quadrant. The bottom left corner of this quadrant is the bottom left corner of this quadrant, and the bottom left corner of this quadrant, and vice versa for all the things that aren't even gridded. So it's just best that you keep all of your objects in this top right quadrant. So I'm going to go back and select only this one object, if it'll not give me trouble, and I'm going to go into here and go to UVs and select all of these UVs and kind of just drag them over to the side. And then I'm going to select this guy and select all of his UVs, and I'm not going to drag them over the side, I'm just going to scale them down. Put them right over there. And then I'm also going to grab this guy, move him over, and scale him down. And when you lay out textures, good rule of thumb for textures, by the way, I just shift clicked that other one so I could see both of them at the same time. See, now that I can mess with them and see both of them there. But like I was saying, a good rule of thumb for texturing is you don't want anything too close to the edge or on the border, and you also don't want edges on top or close to each other. So for example, like if I had it like something like, you know, that, I'd be kind of worried about, well, maybe not that, like, you know, something like that. If it was that close to it, I'd be worried about that. So you want to kind of leave a little bit of space. See, even like right there, that's kind of pushing it. So you definitely want to space everything out. A good hotkey to, well, it's not really a hotkey, it's kind of like a hot command, is select shell. So go up to select and select shell, and now select everything that's connected to the current selection that you have. Alright, so now that we have our UVs laid out, I'm going to scale it down just, well, here, I'll scale everything down just a tad. And I'm just going to use select shell again. By the way, I just hit G on the keyboard, which repeats the last action. It's very, very useful. Let's say if you're extruding or just grouping stuff or selecting a shell. Very useful. Alright, so now that I have my object selected, or sorry, unwrapped properly and not overlapping, I'm going to select both objects. This will only work if you select both objects. If you don't select one of the objects, the UVs will not be exported. So I'm going to go down to UV snapshot. I'm going to make my size 1024 by 1024. Keep the aspect ratio, that's fine. And the color value, you can choose whatever you want. I usually don't choose white because the Photoshop background is white, so I'm going to choose blue. Image format, you can make it a TIFF, a PNG, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I usually say go for TIFF or PNG, just because TIFF is a lot of space, but it's really good quality. PNG has transparency, which is important as well. So 0 to 1, that basically means from here over this way and to here. You can choose different ranges, but just leave that on 0 to 1, and that'd be good. So this file name, notice that because we set our project, it's already putting it in the boxMan project, but it's putting it in images, and I've never really understand why it puts it in images, because I think of images being the place where your renders come out of. So we're going to go browse, and we're going to change this location to textures, because the UV snapshot, I mean all your other textures will go in the textures folder. So I'm just going to name this boxMan UV. Going to hit save and hit OK, and I'm going to go to my desktop and in textures, and there's my UV layout, and you can see it's blue, it's transparent, which is important. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring that into Photoshop right here, and make sure that you never draw on your UV layout layer, because it will mess you up in the end, because you'll get lines on your model, and unless you want to do like some type of cool like kind of like showing what the wireframe of the model is texture, like transparent, kind of like cyber wireframe model. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. Then you definitely want to work on a different layer. So I'm just going to name this layer UV, and well, was this UV layer? Sorry. This one down here is the UV layer, and this one up here will be texture, and I'm going to put the texture under the UV layer, and I'm just going to draw on it. Just very simple stuff. Here, I'll call this A, B. I do not have my Wacom tablet right now, so this is with a mouse. I'm sorry. That's an E. This is an F. Alright. So I'm going to hit save. Save it at PSDs give Maya trouble, and just in all my experience. So PNG saves, sorry, we don't want to save that way. You want to do File, Save for Web and Devices, because saving for web and devices does transparency, and we want to do PNG 24, because PNG saves transparency, which is important if your model has anything transparent like hair. So we just want to do save, and in the textures is fine, and we'll just call this boxMan texture. Even though this isn't going on the boxMan, you can just see what this is for the cubes. Alright, so we're going to save that. Go back into Maya. I'm going to hit 6 to shade up everything, 4, 5, and 6. Sorry, 4 is wireframe, 5 is shaded, 6 is textured. So I'm going to select both of these cubes, go into my Hypershade, create a new material. Lambert's fine. You never want to put stuff on Lambert 1. That is important not to do, because every new object you create will have that texture that you put on it, and it's just very annoying and very hard to see. So Lambert 2, Control A, go over to Color, Checkerboard, click File, Folder, Textures, boxMan texture. You can see we get a preview. Click Open. Now I'm going to middle mouse drag Lambert 2 onto my two boxes. So now you can see that our textures came out mapped properly. But I didn't turn off my UV snapshot, so I've got that kind of wireframe effect on it. Very quickly before this video ends, I'm just going to go into the UV texture and show you how this is basically exactly how it looked in Photoshop. The texture came out. If I even go back to Photoshop, it looks the same. But like I said, make sure that you turn off your UV stuff, your UVs, so that you don't get that on your model. But this is going to conclude the texture section of the boxMan tutorial. Thank you.